All right, Saagar, what are you looking at?
Well, a while back, I did a monologue on one of the most cynical and disgusting acts I've seen take place in the higher education space to date. Certainly saying something considering these people may qualify behind only the pharmaceutical industry as the largest legalized criminals in the United States. But considering the trillion-dollar scam that they've pulled on people, I think they deserve it. The sum of the scheme involved law schools in this particular example. Especially it goes like this. The top law schools in the country are all pulling out of the U.S. News and World Report rankings. Normally, I celebrate this. I think the rankings are deeply flawed, but the timing of it was terrible. It's being done specifically because law schools know the Supreme Court is about to strike down affirmative action in college admissions across the board. Law schools know this, but they are also deeply wedded to a racialized view of college admissions. So what do you do if you want to keep affirmative action even if it's against the law? Well, you make it impossible to prove. How do you do that? You downrank or you remove objective criteria like LSAT test scores, GPA, and you move toward essays. Then, when you discriminate against Asians, you can't compare people's essays quantitatively. The racial numbers just happen to look the same. There's only one problem in doing all of this. Whenever you downrank GPA and remove objective measures like the GPA or the LSAT, then you're gonna drop in the rankings. So to prepare for your scheme, you pull out of the rankings and you claim it's a benevolent act. To be clear, this is not a conspiracy. It's out in the open. Already, affirmative action activists have campaigned to kill the LSAT for law school admissions because of, quote, equity concerns. Starting in 2 years, the LSAT is no longer required by some of the nation's top law schools or the American Bar Association. Any merit in the admissions process, to the extent there was any at all, is dead. But today, I have an even more troubling news. It's not just the profession of law. Now it's medicine, which arguably is one of the most important in a country where 1/5 of all spending is healthcare related, and we are fatter and more sicker than ever. Well, they took their cues from law schools. Harvard University, Stanford School of Medicine, Columbia University, University of Pennsylvania, many have already pulled out of the medical school rankings. This too is a benevolent act, they say. They don't agree with the rankings, but in almost every single case, the medical school deans cite, quote, philosophical concerns in pulling out conveniently at this moment. I want people to really internalize how evil this is. These schools are trying to paint themselves as benevolent, keep their legacy Ivy League brands intact, all while removing the very idea of merit from their systems specifically so they can admit targeted racial groups for the field of medicine. This is the same tactic Harvard a few generations ago was using to discriminate against Jews and against Catholics, and in modern times, now Asians. Who cares about their test scores? They're not well-rounded, that's what they used to say. Or my personal favorite, test scores are bad because they're racist. Already, what happened to the LSAT is going to happen to the MCAT. The seeds for nuking it are already planted. Look here, the American Association of Medical Colleges printing on its front page op-eds about eliminating bias from medical school admissions. Not bias against Asians, they say. You need a, quote, more holistic view of the whole student to do what you need to rely less on the MCAT and GPA. By doing, it would increase the amount of black medical students, he says. What I find disgusting about these arguments is actually the implicit racism, that black students are scoring less on the MCAT or GPA because they can't figure them out. Or maybe people who come from poorer backgrounds writ large, regardless of race, do badly on standardized tests. Why should we not care about merit, according to this doctor, to remove the MCAT and not consider GPA? Here's what he says, quote, diversity matters. It starts by educating a class of medical students who can provide culturally responsive care for an increasingly diverse patient population. I promise you this, if I am in a car accident and I'm at the hospital and someone is about to cut me open, all I want, and I think everybody wants, is somebody who knows what they're doing. Or let's say in that accident, it's someone else's fault. You want to sue them and you need a lawyer. Same thing. Do you know what you're doing or not? Because I don't, and I'm willing to bet the vast majority of people who engage with both professions, they don't care about the race or the gender of your doctor or your lawyer. You just want the job done. I say all of this as someone who believes in equal opportunity for all. But that is the key. Opportunity to succeed. not rigging the outcome to be, quote, equitable according to whatever arbitrary social ideology that is in vogue at the time. In fact, if you actually care about having an equitable society, merit is one of the only things that guarantees it. Merit is what gives foreign applicants actually a fighting chance when they're applying to U.S. schools. It is the only metric genuinely comparable across the world. Merit is what guarantees that someone from a low circumstance can emphatically stand out against their peers from a wealthier place, and ironically, by nuking merit, these idiotic schools have instead kept a system easier to preserve legacy admissions and let in any brain-dead son of a multimillionaire or billionaire without having to even pretend they were ever good at school. The rich will be completely fine under this system. It is the middle-class, smart ones who have no chance in hell. Unfortunately, we are going in an opposite direction as a society. Woke bureaucrats like those at these medical schools have decided they would rather engineer the number of minorities that are doctors by lowering their standards rather than help minorities reach something that should have an objectively high standard. The ongoing war on merit will do nothing but lower confidence in these jobs, which are genuinely important to all of us as a society. And that's why, I tried to weave this as, I don't want this to just be...
Hey guys, ready or not, 2024 is fully upon us now, and Saagar and I have been brainstorming ways that we can really up our game for this critical election.
Yeah, we rely on our premium subs to expand our coverage, to add staff, to upgrade the studio. We just want to give you the best independent coverage of this election, which is possible. So if you can help us out, become a premium subscriber today, breakingpoints.com, or the link is down here in the description video. It really means the world to us, and if you like what we're all about, this is the best possible way to keep us 100% independent, working only for you.